So since everyone has signed up, you know what this session is about. Maybe you have your ingredients in front of you, maybe you're just watching. Yeah, we have Kate with us, who is our climate foodie champion today. So Kate's a student at McMaster University who runs a blog called Kate's Baked Vegan. And she has a sous chef with her today named Ashley.
Hello.
Yeah, so I'll hand that off to you now. You can introduce yourselves a bit more, or if I covered it good enough, feel free to just jump right in.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so I started Kate's Baked in 2017 when I first went vegan. So I did an exchange to Australia, and a lot of my friends there were like pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan. So I started developing a passion for cooking with my friends, and my one friend was vegan and kind of inspired me to follow along in that journey. So I've been doing it ever since. And then Ashley has taken similar path.
Kate and I went to high school together. That's how we know each other. And yeah, I went vegetarian when I was in grade 12. And then I took a gap year before starting university, and I started a food blog because I'm also super into photography. So then it kind of just evolved from there. So Kate and I have had a lot of good times cooking together, creating recipes over the years, which has been really fun. So I was really excited when she asked me to help out with this tonight.
And then her blog is called
Olive and Wisteria.
It's really pretty, and she has a whole section on travel as well, which I would love to incorporate in my blog at some point when things open back up.
Yeah.
Exactly. But okay, so today we're going to be making a vegan sushi burrito. It's student friendly, low budget, and also climate friendly. And part of what makes it climate friendly is it's just low waste, so it's using up what you have in your fridge, while also being vegan at the same time. So there's no use of meat or other animal products in the recipe. And then it's also low in using electricity. So besides making the rice, everything else we're just using is just raw veggies. And then we're actually going to do up some mushrooms in a teriyaki sauce. So if you guys have ingredients, if you're cooking along, keep your cameras on. We're going to get started with chopping some veggies. And then I think we're just going to be, if you guys have questions for us or want to get to know us better, you can just ask those. If people are making it, the ingredients that we have out, so we have carrots, avocado, cucumber, and then we're going to do some mushrooms and saute those up in a teriyaki sauce. And then we're going to do a vegan spicy mayo and then soy sauce. And I'm personally a fan of pickled ginger, so I'll be putting that in my sushi burrito.
Okay.
But right now we're just doing some chopping.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can use basically anything that's a vegetable. Is
Mango,
that right?
Yes, pretty much. Whatever you have in your fridge.
Tofu, cooked sweet potato, pretty much anything.
And if you're not vegan too, if you have smoked salmon and stuff, you can use that too. But for this recipe and for our diet, we're going to be using no animal products.
So you said that I'm just going to ask you a question if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, you can chop and answer at the same time.
Okay, sounds good. Multitask.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious, that you started a few years ago, you started a vegan diet.
Yeah.
And I think you said that was it friend who kind of, but where was why did you decide to go that way other than you were introduced to it from someone else? What were your motivations personally?
Yeah, so in high school, it was summer of grade 9, I worked in an ice cream shop, and I found that it was kind of a slow transition. And when I worked in the ice cream shop, I would come home and I would feel really sick after my shifts. And I couldn't really pinpoint it, but it was because I was eating too much ice cream. And I've always kind of been lactose intolerant. So that was sort of the first thing that I cut out. So after my summer working there, I have to try it to know the flavors to tell the customers. So then after I finished working there, I kind of cut out dairy. And then before I went to Australia when I was still in high school, my grandfather is a doctor and he sent me some resources about red meat. So I ended up cutting red meat out pretty soon as well. And then when I went to Australia, a lot of my friends were vegetarian and vegan, including my best friend Simone. And she sort of inspired me to start cooking non-meat meals. And I honestly really enjoyed them and I really liked them. And Australia's kind of known for that hipster sort of vibe. So a lot of restaurants could accommodate for vegan and vegetarianism. So then she also had a food blog at the time, which is how I kind of got started with it. And part of my reason for getting started with it is because people used to just send her a whole bunch of free products. So she'd get like a box of chocolates just by cooking and sharing like what she made with the chocolates. So then I started my account essentially to get like free food.
But you're a student. If you're a student, you know, you have different motivations.
Exactly. So I made my food account, but I didn't have a website or a blog at the time. It was just an Instagram account. And I had some Australian companies reach out to me. And then when I got to Canada, I actually reached out to a few Canadian companies myself to start working with their products and promote it on my blog. So I don't know if you've heard of Manitoba Harvest, like hemp seeds, but they've been sponsoring me since I got back from Australia, so 2018, so a couple years. And then we've also worked with like Yoso, which is like a yogurt company.
Okay.
Yeah, when Kate got back from Australia, so she had to finish the second half of grade 12 because her courses didn't transfer.
Yeah, I had to go on my gap year and basically take grade 12 again.
Yeah, and at the time I was on a gap year. So then the two of us were both home and all our other friends had kind of gone away to school. And so I remember us getting together because we both love to cook and like brainstorming brands that we really liked. And just basically like cold calling them and sending them emails, just kind of explaining what we do and like sending them, you know, links to our Instagrams and whatever.
Telling us that we're students and that we cook every day and we're interested in trying their products. And they were all like so excited that we were reaching out to them. They're like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like we'd love to send you some stuff to try. I've tried some like crazy vegan cheeses and what else?
Well, that's
a coconut one that was really good. I don't know.
Especially I can see their motivation with that because I feel like I don't know about many other people's educational experience, but you know, a lot of people are either just, you know, not cooking for themselves, they're on a meal plan, or they're ordering food a lot, or you know, it's like chicken and rice every night.
Yeah.
You know, so I find that sometimes getting, you know, like a healthy balanced diet, at least, you know, when you're on a budget and you're in a rush and you're in school and you don't have time to learn, you're just like, what's easy? Like chicken. Everybody makes chicken. So like, you know, that was one of my questions too, is that especially as a student and, you know, if you're making meals a lot of the time for yourself, like what are some of these challenges and how do you face them aside from getting free stuff, you know?
I know.
You know, how do you maintain like being a vegan with the time crunch, the budget of a student, and
I definitely think it's a lot easier now than it was like a few years ago. It's kind of like an upwards trend of people that are changing their diets up, whether it's like keto or vegetarian, pescatarian, whether people are just cutting little things out here and there. I feel like our restaurants are really learning to accommodate for that, and it's opening up more of a market for them. Especially like at McMaster, when I went to school there, they had like an entirely vegetarian restaurant. It's called Bridges. It's actually really good. You can pay cash or like it's by meal plan as well. So I would go there a lot and get a lot of my meals there. But I feel like most restaurants nowadays at least have one vegan or vegetarian option on the meal that you can kind of like get them to modify for you. Especially if you're like gluten-free as well. That's another popular diet that people are following / have to follow. But in my like small town, like I honestly don't find it that hard at university because I'll make all of my meals kind of like in bulk, like a meal plan, and then just take them to class with me, or I don't know. What do you do?
Yeah, what I've found like for being at school, I think a common misconception with like having an alternative diet or like being vegan or vegetarian is that it's really expensive, or like more expensive than like a traditional diet, which is not entirely correct. Sure, there are like those like luxury like vegan products or whatever, and if you're just buying those, then yeah, it would be pretty expensive. But it's kind of the same with like traditional products too. Like if you're buying fancy cuts of meat or fancy cheese, like it is going to be expensive. So I think it's just kind of like setting a budget for yourself and knowing like what your staples are, like things you can use across different meals. So like for example, a grain you really like rice or quinoa or pasta, whatever it is, and just having those staples on hand all the time, and then allowing yourself to splurge on things you like if there's a kind of cheese you really love, or you really like this, you know, like Beyond Burgers if you're vegetarian or vegan or something, because those can be expensive. And as long as you kind of like stay within your budget and plan around that, like it can, one, be more sustainable, because if you have a plan, you're less likely to waste food because you know what you're going to do with all the products you're buying. And two, it's also kind of fun and like therapeutic way, I find, to like sit down and like plan out your meals and kind of just do something for yourself when you're super busy.
It also kind of encourages you to try new things as well. Like even though like vegan is like limiting, you can't have meat, you can't have dairy, but there's substitutions for it. And if you kind of plan your meals in advance, then you can kind of try new things or encourage yourself to try those things because you have it written down. It's like, oh, I have the ingredients. This is what I'm having for dinner. Okay, so we have our mushrooms and all of our veggies chopped up. So I'm going to quickly saute these over here with some teriyaki sauce. And then we'll get back over making the sushi burrito. So you might hear some sizzling.
Yes, I was going to actually try and switch gears back to the recipe. I kept getting caught off track. So I noticed that, you know, those are pretty like regular size choppings. And I feel like one of the assumptions I have for anything sushi in it is that you have to chop everything up really, really tiny, and it is going to take me all night.
I think that's a good part about the sushi burrito is you can just kind of make it like really like whatever size. Like it's going into a burrito. You want like a bite of cucumber, not like tiny little flakes of cucumber.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like versatile, like you can honestly put whatever you want in it. So
right, sizzling.
You know what? I was a little bit skeptical when I saw sushi burrito, but because, you know, that's what I mean. To me, it's like time consuming, but I think that it's good that I'm attending this call because I never would have added that to my menu personally.
I was going to say, like, we could have had the mushrooms going earlier. We could have done like the pre-chopping for it, but like we're pretty much done right now. It's just putting it together and cooking the mushrooms.
Exactly.
And what are you putting in the frying pan for your
Yeah, so right now I just have the lid on it so it's not too noisy. Excuse the mess. Right now I just have mushrooms in here with a little bit of sesame seed oil.
Sesame, nice.
Yeah, it's so good, so yummy, adds a lot of flavor. And then really just use any teriyaki sauce. A lot of them are naturally vegan, but a lot of them also have like a lot of sugar, a lot of cornstarch, so I use this one.
Yeah, really embodying the blog.
Not sponsored, I promise. Oh, that one's not sponsored.
Yes, it's all
have
about
have you used toasted sesame oil at all?
I think that's the one that I have. Oh no, this one's pure sesame oil, but I have used it before. And usually when I'm making like sushi burrito or sushi, I'll actually add toasted sesame seeds.
What?
They're really good.
Oh, nice.
They're really
like whole sesame seeds.
Yeah.
They're not that big.
No, whole, just like
some people get stuck on just having olive oil in the house, and sometimes they think it's expensive, but you can swap a half a jar with your friend. If you have half a jar of olive oil and half a jar of sesame, then you have some variety, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a great oil and yummy.
Oh yeah, it's so good. I feel like when you're vegan too, you kind of have to experiment with different flavors and different flavor profiles just to get a different taste. So staying away from just like olive oil and veggie oil, try and spice it up a little bit. Helps keep it interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, on a non-vegan, I know I'm supposed to be keeping this on track, but on like a non-vegan, no, I'm Italian, so we just use olive oil all the time on everything, everywhere. But you know, we recently learned within our family that olive oil has a low or high smoke point. Yeah. And that's something new for me. So, you know, we now try to just use different vegetable oils for frying on high heat, because if you use olive oil for that, it releases free radicals and you know, yeah.
And the other thing is you can also use sunflower or safflower oil and camelina oil. All those three we grow here in Canada, whereas olive oil has a big footprint, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So if you have whole sesame seeds, I imagine that you could even like roll your whole burrito in it afterwards, right?
Yeah, if you're really into sesame seeds, yeah.
I guess that's a lot.
I think maybe I used them up when I made sushi like last week, so I don't really have any. But that's a good part about it being versatile. You don't really need it to eat the burrito.
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of just work with what you got.
All right. So I think one of the other things I was going to ask you is how you overcome the challenges of being a student, which you already talked about. But if you have like a couple points that you could kind of like beam down on, like maybe things that you overcame, or like you're just little nuggets of advice or knowledge for someone in the same situation, like students, or just someone who's really busy, or really doesn't love to splurge on their grocery bill. And I know you said that that's not really the case all the time, but what would be your number one or piece of advice? Number two.
I don't know. Like I feel like this goes back to that common misconception around veganism being really, really expensive, but like a can of chickpeas is like $2. And that's enough protein to satisfy you versus like a cut of meat, which can be anywhere from like $5 to $10 for like one meal. So I think part of it is just like doing your research almost and finding people to follow with interesting recipes, or people that do meal plans or provide vegan meal plans that are easy to follow essentially. Like I love cooking and I like trying new things. So for me, doing this is very interesting and I am able to keep it interesting. Whereas I know other people have tried it and maybe they switch out certain parts in their diet, but I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing to not follow a vegan diet. Like I genuinely think like lean meats are really healthy. I think eggs are really healthy. I just personally myself don't eat them. So it's kind of like finding a balanced diet that works for you more than just following like a strict vegan diet and cutting things out. I think it's harder to stick to it and almost makes you like resent the diet versus following what you actually like in like a healthy way.
Yeah. I know we in my household we're trying to just have like some days without meat. And like personally my thing is more from a sustainability point of view, but I know that my mom has not eaten red meat for a long time, and that was like just for health reasons, not for
That was part of my reason for like originally cutting out red meat.
I think maybe
like, health reasons. But
yeah. I think a lot of the thing too is that like meat does add like an instant, huge flavor boost. So maybe that's why some people who try vegetarian or vegan cooking on their own think it's like bland, but I think they just need to like know what spices to get.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of big meat eaters don't really know about spices. Well, some do, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're in a student house, you don't necessarily go out and you're like, oh, I need like garam masala for my curry, or like I need like cayenne pepper. It's like, oh, I'll just use like whatever hot sauce I have in the fridge.
Yeah.
That's seriously what it is too. It's getting creative with like what you have.
Yeah.
Like this is a pretty limited drawer of spices I can show you, but like we can still make interesting meals with it.
I mean, I've seen much less diverse.
I know.
Not personally or anything, but
honestly,
my
first year residence was pretty sad. When it came to like cooking, I'm pretty sure all we ate was like vegan banana bread and cereal.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Quite the diet. Then like Mac also has like a lot of places that offer vegan options, so it's kind of easy to just go out and use your meal plan everywhere.
Yes, meal plans are helpful, but I do think college is probably a turning point for a lot of people. Sustainability programs or things like my venture into the plant-based diet. And my microwave's not even on.
Okay, I know a lot of people aren't cooking with us, but this smells really good, so I think we're gonna start making the burrito. So I pre-made the rice, and you can use minute rice too, which I recently found out.
That really makes it a quick meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grabbed the rice. It's here.
Yeah, you can use like minute rice, and then what we use to season the rice, like a typical sushi rice seasoning, is with rice vinegar, and then you can use just like plain granulated sugar, or I use maple syrup, which again is a little more climate friendly. And also you want to make sticky rice. You want it to be kind of like wet and sticky. So then when we're prepping to make our sushi burrito, or if you're doing a sushi burrito bowl, or if you're making actual sushi, what we have is we chill our rice in the fridge. So I don't really use plastic wrap. It usually says on lots of recipes, but you don't really need it. And the last time I actually made sushi rice, I just left my bowl in the snow. Like I just left my pot in the snow, and it cooled it down really fast, but it worked. Okay. So then the next thing you need is a bowl of water that you can dip your fingers in because the rice is really, really sticky. And then we have our 2 nori sheets. So the way that this works to make the sushi burrito is you actually connect the nori sheets. Hope everyone can see that okay.
Yeah.
That looks good.
That's good.
Perfect.
So Ashley, you
Yeah,
wanna
I
walk
can
them
kind
through
of
it?
demo this. So with your bowl of water, you can just kind of dampen your fingers, and then you're just gonna kind of run them over the edge of one of your nori sheets, like about an inch of it, give or take. And then you're just gonna take the second one and put it on top, and just like apply a little bit of pressure, maybe a bit more water, just so they kind of adhere to one another. So then you have like a bigger kind of surface to work with when you actually start making the burrito.
I do like that. It's not
Okay.
Okay. So, okay. I still have to wash my hands. You want to do it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Go for it. Yeah, so then you're just gonna take your rice, and basically you're just gonna kind of spread it onto one side of the nori sheet. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty sticky, which is good.
Nice.
And then yeah, you can kind of just dampen your fingers again, and then use it to spread out the rice. It's pretty sticky, so just like kind of a thin layer. If anyone's ever made their own sushi before, it's kind of the same process.
Just like 5 times bigger.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
All in
larger.
one. Yeah, exactly.
I have a question.
Yes.
How much of the rice vinegar and sugar did you put on that bowl of rice?
I actually did it to taste, so I kind of eyeballed it, but usually it's about like 1.5, like 1 to 1.5 ratio. No, 1 to
Like I would
like
say
1 to 3 ratio, and I usually like it a bit more vinegary, or you could do like a 1 to 2 ratio. So like a couple tablespoons, so like 4 tablespoons. Depending
4
on
tablespoons of vinegar to that rice. Wow.
depending on
Okay.
how much rice you make. So this
Yep.
one, I just
That
made a
bowl.
half bowl because it's only it's only us 2 eating it. So I did
Yeah.
about a tablespoon of maple syrup and 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. And
Okay.
it works pretty
Thank you.
quickly because it is like a sticky rice. If you leave it in the fridge, it obviously absorbs some of the water.
Thank you.
No problem. And then when you're putting rice on it, you really just want to cover this one sheet. Any more?
yeah, it's like 2/3 of the way up. So then you have some realistic work with it again. Okay.
Okay.
You want to put on some toppings while I wash
Yeah,
my
let's
hands?
do some toppings.
This looks like something that would be great to take
Yeah,
for
like
lunch the
roasting.
next day.
For sure.
Yeah, because it's kind of like making a wrap and then bringing it with you, so it's
Do you
kind
like
of fun.
want more carrot?
I wouldn't put too much, just because you don't want it to explode.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to put some mushrooms on there too.
Okay. And then we have our shroomies.
Ooh.
This is actually the best part. This is my favorite roll, and it's like a homemade one. It's like a teriyaki mushroom. I've been out and I've had teriyaki mushroom rolls. This one's the best one. Literally just teriyaki sauce and mushrooms. Okay. Then I'm adding cucumber. So right now we have carrots, cucumber, and then teriyaki mushrooms. And then we also have avocado. We chopped up a whole bunch. Just kind of add it. So that's just kind of covering it. It's gonna be a thick burrito.
This is gonna be a thick burrito. Okay.
There.
And
So I
then-
know you said in your recipe, but like what are some of the other veggies that go like really well in this?
Sweet potato is really, really good. I personally think it goes really, really well. We're gonna make a spicy mayo. So you can do those in the oven, almost like sweet potato fries. You can microwave it.
Yeah, and I've done like, here, I'll get down to this level. I've done like kimchi before, so it's like Korean sauerkraut basically. If you like kind of spicy food, that's kind of a fun thing to add. I think Kate mentioned this before, but you can add like mango to it. Honestly,
It's
like
really good.
anything you like putting in sushi, you could really just kind of style it, which is what's
Maybe some sprouts.
that would be really good.
Cilantro, like you can add really whatever you wanted.
Peppers.
Parsley.
Yeah. So now that you've got your toppings on here, you're just gonna
Beautiful.
use your fingers again, and you're just gonna kind of dampen this bottom edge here. And like, as you can see, we left about like a third of the top. So if you make sushi at home and you have a sushi mat, it would be awesome to use that to help you roll it. If you don't, that is totally okay. Like you can kind of freestyle it. Just fair warning, it might get a little bit out of whack. Might not be the prettiest looking burrito, but then basically you're just gonna kind of gently start rolling it and just kind of.
You want to almost like tuck the seaweed over the filling, but also try and keep it all together with your fingers.
So it's all just about keeping tension on it, right? But you want to be gentle too, because it is.
You don't want it to rip.
Exactly.
If it does rip, you can always add like another nori sheet onto the outside.
And you can just keep adding a bit of water to the sides as you roll it, just to get.
Cool.
So when you add water to this part of the sushi or to this part of the nori, it makes it sticky, so it helps it.
And then when you get to the end, you'll have this nice roll. So
it's like a little refresher of what we just did there. So we had the rice about 2/3 of the way up the roll, and then we put our filling in, and then we started rolling from the bottom while tucking in all the ingredients and moving the nori sheet at the same time. That's honestly the hardest part, is just keeping everything tight and together. But once you wet the side that's open, so the 1/3 that we left empty, once you wet that, it gets sticky, and you can roll the rest of your burrito onto it, and it keeps it together and holds it together. So then Ashley was continuing. So the ends are open right now.
Yeah, so the ends are open because unlike with a tortilla, you can't really fold them in because nori is pretty gentle. But the nice thing about this is if you're taking it for lunch or to go, you can wrap it in like parchment paper, beeswax wrap, whatever you use. And that kind of keeps everything in, and then you can just kind of roll it down as you eat it. Like I know I've taken this out with me before, like as a meal to go, and it worked really well. Or you can just you could slice it as like a giant sushi roll if you want to enjoy it that way at home. Like really, the options are endless. Like it's open for however you prefer to eat your sushi. But yeah, that's kind of how you make it.
Another variation that you can do if you're not into the sushi burrito is you could do like a sushi burrito bowl. So whatever left over, like say your nori ripped or something, you can just add it all into a bowl, chop it a little finer, and then add whatever toppings you want, edamame, tofu, whatever you have, and you can bring it in like a container or something. But we'll show you our end results.
The reveal.
I feel like if I ever made that, I would do it just all fall apart. I'd be like, well, it looks like it's a bowl. So
you just gotta be patient while you roll it.
Exactly.
Not too much pressure, but like not.
I make like sushi a lot, so only having to do like one like roll, keeping it tight, it's really helpful. So doing like 5 different ones. But for people that have like leftover chicken and stuff too, you can do like a chicken teriyaki roll.
Yeah, like honestly, you can do anything.
This is why we have
Who was that?
I was just gonna say this is why we have Megan doing the roll and not me.
Yeah, I know. How does it look? Did it work?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me see if I can like move my, because I'm just on a laptop. It worked. It's all together.
Nice.
Ooh, Megan, that's
Is it, like,
giant.
still? Is it still loose or is it like nice and tight?
No, it's tight. I'm used to rolling like cinnamon buns and stuff. So
yes. Okay. I'm like a baker too, hence Kate baked. But I've gone like into cooking.
Just gonna put that on.
So yeah, I don't have that kind of experience. So I'm gonna be making a salad next week with Ginny.
Nice.
What salad are you making?
You can unmute yourself, sorry, if you wanted to comment.
I want to know. Is it
Yeah.
vegan salad?
So we're gonna make a salad because I do everything with food that you can have stored, so you don't have to buy it. You can buy it in December and it'll keep right till March. So we're gonna do a red cabbage, shredded carrot, shredded beets, so it's all purple. We call it royal purple
It's
slaw.
really yummy. You can add
And
purple cabbage
Oh.
to this too.
Yeah, cabbage. I was going to say cabbage would be really good in there, and you could shred it instead of chop it if you have that. I don't know if Nick would be into that. The shredding might wreck your fingers, eh?
Yeah, they're definitely not. Getting roasted.
Kate knows I'm terrible. So like,
Oh, this one wasn't that bad. It's just funny that. Not nothing.
I thought this recipe was supposed to be student friendly.
Yeah.
Okay, right now I'm making a vegan mayo. So I have what's called veganaise, but if you have normal mayo, you can use that too. And I'm just putting like a heaping tablespoon in a jar, and then I'm gonna add some Frank's Red Hot, but you can use sriracha or any other sort of hot sauce that you have. So I'm gonna mix it all together. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it.
You're not eyeballing it at all. It's just no eyes.
Well, technically, I'm looking at the screen. We don't have any kimchi, so this is gonna be our spice.
Wish you could like smell.
I
the
know.
video. It's like, oh man.
Someone needs to invent that.
Honestly, yeah.
You can talk, you can see where the other sense is.
Surprisingly, I have had that conversation many a time.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
Just throughout this Cooking for Climate series?
No, with a coworker, like we can send our voices through the phone. Like, why can't we send smells?
No, it's really good.
We need that for cooking shows.
That would be amazing.
It's so much more engaging.
Well, I mean, we're about to start cooking maple syrup at Eco House, and I wish I could like send the smell of like boiling maple syrup to everybody.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
The best is at like ski resorts when they have like the maple taffy.
You can make that at home too.
Really? Do you
I
just
wanna
have to
try
bring
that.
maple syrup to like a high boiling point so it gets like all.
I don't use a candy thermometer personally, but if you look up recipes, they'll give you an exact
Look,
temperature.
there's my.
The first roll, we'll do another one. Kate, do you want to try this one?
Yes, please.
Okay, Kate is gonna take it away with this one, so you can watch her do it.
Take it away. Yes. Take
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, for anyone who missed the beginning, this will be Kate's premier sushi burrito roll.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't do the filling for.
Mhm.
so we're all observing your rolling skills here, Kate. No pressure.
Yeah, don't.
Ashley, you loaded this one up. You set me up for failure
Just don't.
on my own cooking
Just-
show.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's like trying to roll a soft taco after you overestimated the amount of your tortilla.
Exactly. And then
For me, I'm used to like the
Sarah, Kate, you
small
want me to wet
rolls.
the end for you?
And we used to have like a roller, but we're not going to talk about that. Rebecca damaged it.
Oh. Tea.
Throwing shade.
It's looking good.
I know, I was going to say, I don't see the mic coming off for my sister. Oh,
It's looking good, and you have a side of avocado now.
I
There
know.
we go.
Step it in the
Squish it
mayo.
out.
Good to go.
Will you eat the whole thing?
Oh my God, we'll see. I mean, I'm like 5'2", I'm a pretty small person, so probably not. Okay, moment of truth.
And they store really well in the fridge too. So if you make them and then you don't finish it, like you
Eat
can
like one
easily,
half and save the other half for later.
yeah, you can easily eat it the next day for lunch.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Another tip for making sushi is to wet the knife. It helps it cut a little easier.
What's your cross section?
That looks great.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, so there's our sushi burrito.
Mm.
If we're gonna have a resource list that's sent out to everybody at the end of the entire event. So, Kate, if you have any things you want to share with us, not right now, you can. Yes, we'll send any resources out. So, Kate, if you think of anything that you think is a good resource, either like certain ingredients that are a staple, things like that. We'll send that out to everybody at the end of all 4 sessions. And for anyone who hasn't been following along with the promo, like the wide scale promo for this. Next week, we have Ginny, who is in the call right now, from the Community Permaculture Lab here in Hamilton. And she's going to be talking about local and homegrown food options. So that'll just kind of layer another level of sustainability and open up a different set of options for those looking to lower their carbon footprint in the kitchen. So one more comment. Love the technique. Put the two sheets together.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice clean kitchen too.
I know. We did a little bit of like a deep clean before we. Oh yeah, it's in a different room. I was like,
It's over there.
Yeah.
We're doing realistic kitchens.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
You kind of see in the back there. Realistic.
Ginny, I don't know if you wanted to add anything about next week. I'll open up the floor to you right now.
Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
But yeah, of course, if anyone has any questions for Kate, her Instagram, Kate's Baked Vegan. I will also share Ashley's page because it sounds like it's got some pretty yummy stuff on there. You can reach out to them at any time. Sorry, back to Ginny.
So I had to start today, so everything has a date on it. So next week, these little things that look like globules in the bottom of the water will be sprouts. And I was thinking, Kate, you could put sprouts in your burritos, right? So I have 4 different kind of sprouts that we're starting that for students, they're really cheap and you just need any old jar. You know, I got a pickle jar here. I got a nacho jar there. And next week there'll be sprouts and they can put them in salad or your burrito, right, ladies?
Yeah, now that everyone, you know, maybe we don't have people cooking along, but they know what to expect now. They know that a first timer can do the roll on their own. So you can make a salad and a sushi burrito next week if you want to join.
Okay.
Okay. So I won't keep anybody any longer. You know, if you did cook along, Megan, Kate, Ashley, enjoy your burritos. Everybody else, I hope you try these out. And feel free to reach out to Green Venture, Kate and Ashley with any questions after the call.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.